It is time for our final 2025 NHL mock draft. Of course, we are very close now to the actual draft taking place. This will be our final mock, and we're going to go through the entire first round picks 1 to 32. I'll give you my selections, my rationale for doing so, talk a bit about the players, and how this might go coming up next. Welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. As I mentioned, today's our final mock draft for the upcoming 2025 NHL Draft. It seems like it wasn't long ago we started doing these for fun earlier in the season. So here we are ready for the draft to take place here, of course, on Friday evening into Saturday with the remaining round. So clearly, we're going to do this draft based on what I think the teams need, and I'm going to take into account a lot of the intel that we've seen from a lot of the plugged-in reporters and connector reporters on what they think some of these teams are going to do. There's a lot of these picks that could be traded as well. Wouldn't be shocking. So as I go through these, I will mention which picks I think are likely to be traded. And of course, if the pick's traded, it's likely going to have a major impact on who is selected, because each team is going to have their own preferred players that they like more than the other. So we'll jump onto the computer. We're going to go through picks 1 through 32. I'll give you all my thoughts and rationalization around each one. And then, of course, you can leave some comments and let me know what you think around my selections. Selecting first overall, we have the New York Islanders, and I have them selecting, no surprise, defenseman Matthew Schaefer, the Erie Otters, the consensus #1 overall selection. It's really been a long time since any of the scouting services or any gurus around here have had anybody else going first overall. This pick is not being traded. The Islanders, I do believe, will take Schaefer, who has tremendous skill, #1 defenseman written all over him. Has a little bit of Quinn Hughes and Cale Makar type of skill, type of impact. That's some pretty big shoes to live up to, obviously, and maybe he will, maybe he won't, but he has that type of potential. Too good of an opportunity to pass up if you look at just how good this kid is on the back end. At #2 overall, we have the San Jose Sharks, and I have them selecting Anton Fondell, the Swedish centerman, who is drawing a lot of comparison to be maybe not Barkov, but Barkov type of player who could be a very impactful two-way centerman, has the size, the skill, a great shot, like he can score, and he can be very responsible on both ends of the ice and be very physical and just be that real dominant top six centerman. Like he has a lot of qualities a lot of teams like here, and there is a lot of belief around the league that the Sharks are going to take Fondell at #2. Now, that may change. They could go Misa here. Misa's been the #2 consensus pick for a while, but there's a lot of belief around the NHL that the Sharks actually prefer Fondell in this scenario, and that he's going to be the pick. Time will tell us, see if that's correct or not. At #3, we have the Chicago Blackhawks, and I have them selecting Michael Misa from Saginaw, obviously from the OHL. Had a tremendous season. All kinds of scoring records broken. This guy is absolutely tremendous, putting up over 134 points, over 60 goals. He would be a tremendous addition to the Blackhawks' young group of players. I can see a scenario, though. There is some speculation that the Blackhawks also really like Desnoyers. I can see a scenario in this draft where a couple of guys like Misa and Hagens both kind of slip a little bit and end up going a little lower than we think, but a lot of this is going to, like the Fondell pick that we just did at 2 with the Sharks, that seems to be the consensus around a lot of the draft gurus that he's going to San Jose. And if that happens, it kind of sends shockwaves here, kind of changes the order, and depending on what Chicago really thinks next, could change things again. But I think they should go with Misa, so I'm leaving them here at 3. Next up at #4, we have the Utah Mammoth, and I have them selecting Brady Martin, another pick that might be considered off the board. Obviously from the OHL Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds. Martin is a player that a lot of teams really like for the high compete level of physicality. Draws some comparison to Sam Bennett. We've seen what Bennett's done in the playoffs the past couple of years. Absolutely menace to play against. He put up 72 points with the Sioux last year in 57 games, and just has those extra qualities that a lot of these other guys don't have. And a lot of teams feel like this guy is somebody you can win with, an integral part being a solid playoff team. So they really like Martin for those purposes. At #5, we have the Nashville Predators, and I have them selecting Caleb Desnoyers of the Moncton Wildcats. Now, this could be a pick that goes in a couple different directions. I can see a scenario maybe where Nashville trades this pick or trades down, depending on who they really like. If they think they can get them with getting an extra asset, they'll consider that. They could go Hagens here, there's no doubt, but there's a lot of speculation that some of the teams at the top like guys like Martin and Desnoyers a little bit better. Caleb Desnoyers is a little bigger than Hagens, has a more complete game, and that some of these teams like Nashville, who has, you could say a little bit more appreciation for the two-way play in the defensive side of the puck. I think they're getting a more complete two-way centerman, and Desnoyers fits that bill. So we'll see, but I think he is a good fit here at 5. If not, I can also see the Flyers with the next pick being high on this player too. Next up at number 6, we've got Porter Martone. Martone is, I think, a great fit for the Philadelphia Flyers. If you think about some of the players they already have, like Michkov, Zegras, they've got some smaller, skilled players. They also need some big, strong goal scorers. And Martone, I think, is going to be one of those players who ultimately can be both a playmaker and a goal scorer. He put up 98 points for Mississauga, 37 goals, 61 assists. I think he can be a great goal scorer and a great playmaker and really fit well with the Flyers. I mean, he could be a big, strong winger to really fit the Rick Tocchet style of hockey that they're trying to play there. Next up at number 7, we have the Boston Bruins, and I have them selecting James Hagens, obviously from the Boston College Eagles. Now, that's assuming they hold this pick. I honestly think if they can get Hagens here, the Islanders, I know, really want Hagens. Lots of speculation they want a second first rounder to try to get Schaefer and Hagens. And I think if Hagens is on the board here and the Bruins know the Islanders really want him, I wonder what they can extract out of the Islanders to get it. They've already been rumored to be talking trade, so I can see a scenario where the Bruins trade this pick in the right scenario, but I can also see a scenario where they say, you know what, we like Hagens. He can be a really, potential number one highly skilled center. It could be a great fit there. Obviously familiar with the area after playing for Boston College. So some ties to the area, although he's a New York native by birth. So, we'll see. Obviously, I know he's talked a lot about the Islanders, but I think he's obviously happy to go anywhere where he's drafted. At number 8 overall, we have the Seattle Kraken, and I have them selecting Jake O'Brien from the OHL from the Bulldogs. Had a tremendous season. I think the Kraken could go a number of different ways with this pick, but in my opinion, they don't have enough high-end offense. They don't have enough star power yet on that team, and I think Jake O'Brien has the potential to be a player like that. Last year in Brantford, like I said, 98 points, 32 goals, 66 assists, so to me, he's a goal scoring, but primarily a playmaking centerman. Got good size, is already 6'2", about 170 pounds. Could use a little bit more muscle on that frame, which will help with the physicality at his next level here to go to the NHL. Right shot, which is also attractive. I think there's lots to like. Could be a great fit with the young group they're building there, Beniers, Wright, and a few others. And not all centermen that are drafted end up playing center at the NHL. Some go to the wing. I don't think you can ever have too many centers, and I really like O'Brien for the Kraken here if he's available. At number 9, we have the Buffalo Sabres, and I have them selecting big defenseman Mrtka out of Seattle in the Western Hockey League. I do think this is another pick that's highly likely to be traded. Not sure Buffalo selects here. I think there's quite possible that they'll trade this pick for somewhat of an impactful player who can help them right away. But if for any reason they do hold this pick, Mrtka, I think, is a decent choice for them. Right shot defenseman, 6'6", 218 pounds. Lots of size, and the fact he's a right shot D. That's the kind of players is hard to find. Has potential to be a top 4. Put up 35 points last year in 43 games. I think there's enough to like about this player, and it's a type of player to me that they don't really have. If you look at a guy like Matthias Samuelsson, who kind of fits maybe a similar description, but isn't quite working out and is likely to be moved on, they could certainly use that size on the right side of their decor if they do end up holding this pick. Next up at number 10, we have the Anaheim Ducks, and I have them taking Swedish winger Victor Eklund. I think Eklund would be a good fit for the Ducks. To be honest, they've got a lot of good young talent in Anaheim that they've accumulated both on the back end and somewhat in the forward group and down the middle as well. So I think on the wings might be the one area that maybe they don't have quite as much. To be honest, like I could also see this pick being traded for a player who can come in and help them right away as well. But the Anaheim Ducks could benefit from a Like I said, another skilled winger like Victor Eklund here. He had a pretty good season over in Sweden last year, putting up 31 points in 42 games. Like I said, the left winger could be a good fit there with what they've got building in Anaheim. Selecting 11th overall, we have the Pittsburgh Penguins with the first of two back-to-back picks, and I have them selecting Roger McQueen from the Western Hockey League's Brandon Wheat Kings. The big forward finally gets picked here. To be honest, he's got enough talent that he could be a top 5 or 6 pick. I wouldn't be shocking, but it's expected that because of the injuries he went through this past year, some teams are more likely to shy away. But his skill level shines through. He's got huge size, 6'5", over 192 pounds. He's likely going to be over 200 plus, when he's done kind of filling out here. But to me, with a team like Pittsburgh with back-to-back first-round picks, if they keep it, that is, I think they're a team that can take the chance on him. And really, I'm not afraid if I'm Kyle Dubas to use this pick. The talent is through the roof, and you've got multiple first-rounders here. You can kind of maybe take some of the risks that other teams won't. And like I said, I think the Penguins are also trying to move up here. So it wouldn't also be shocking if they combine these picks or package them to try to get a higher one in the draft. With the next selection, 12th overall, we have the Penguins again, like I said, originally the Rangers pick, and I have them selecting a defenseman, Keyshawn Aitchison. Aitchison, another defenseman here. I think with two back-to-back picks, if they hold them, makes sense to grab a forward and a D. They need a bit of everything in Pittsburgh. Aitchison, to me, is a pretty good size physical defenseman that I think can be a good help to the team here. He's also able to have an offensive flair. He put up some good points with Barrie last year in the OHL. 59 points in 64 games, 6'1", almost 200 pounds already. He's got a good mix of size, skill, and offensive ability. Draw some comparison to last year's pick, Stan Solberg. So to me, could be a great pick here for Pittsburgh. Pretty solid top 4 defenseman down the road by the looks of things. Next up at 13, we have the Detroit Red Wings, and I have them selecting defenseman Jackson Smith from the WHL's Tri-City Americans. Now, obviously, Smith, to me, is a pretty safe pick. Put up 54 points in 68 games last year. Good size, 6'3", 190. By many viewed upon as one of the more safe picks here that should play, a good amount of NHL games and be a pretty safe pick to be a top 4 defenseman down the road. To me, if you look at the Red Wings, I think they've got more in the forward group than they do in the D core to be optimistic for the future. So to me, it makes a good sense here to go with one of the top D-men here available. Selecting next at 14th overall, we have the Columbus Blue Jackets, and I have them selecting Lyndon Lakovic. Now, Lakovic to me might be a player some people might think's maybe not the best fit for Columbus, but to me, he's a little bit different and adds a good mix to the Columbus lineup. They have a lot of wingers already, but this guy is 6'4", 190 pounds, projects to be over 200 here when he's done adding some more muscle to his frame. 27 goals, 58 points in only 47 games last year for Moose Jaw in the Western Hockey League, but he has the size, the skill, and the ability to play up and down your lineup. To me, he's a good shooter and a good utility type player, which is, to me, something that Columbus doesn't really have. Based on who's available here, I just think he's a good fit to mix in with the other young players they've already accumulated. Next up at 15th overall, we have the Vancouver Canucks, and I have the Canucks selecting Cole Reschny, who I think is a terrific, smart, very creative hockey player, obviously playing close by for Victoria in the Western Hockey League. A little bit on the smaller side, but he's not real small. He's just not overly big. He's 5'10", 187. So in real life, he's a pretty average sized guy, but in the world of hockey, he's a little bit on the smaller side. But Reschny is incredibly smart and creative and a good playmaker. 92 points in 62 games this past year. Had a really, really solid year. One of the smartest players in his draft class is the way he anticipates the play and can create offense, his passing. Really excellent set of hands on this kid. Would be a terrific fit here for Vancouver. A really great fit for a lot of teams, but I think this is just I think a player that Vancouver can't pass on at 15. At 16th overall, in the first of back-to-back picks, we have the Montreal Canadiens, and I have them selecting centerman Braden Coots from the Western Hockey League's Seattle Thunderbirds. Coots, to me, is a player that the Habs don't have. Obviously, they do have some other center prospects, but Coots is just kind of like what I said about Brady Martin earlier, a player that a lot of scouts just feel like his compete level is so high that he's a player you can win with. Had a good season in Seattle, putting up 63 points in 60 games. The battles on like he wins. First one in the corner, takes the front of the net, takes the punishment. Not afraid to challenge and just outwork his opponent. Like for Habs fans, he will draw some comparisons to like a young Brendan Gallagher. Now he's built a little bit different. 6 feet 183, so not drastically, but he has that same sort of compete level. What Habs fans love about Gallagher, they would love about this guy too. With Montreal's second straight selection here at 17th overall, I have them going back to the Western Hockey League and the Everett Silvertips to select Carter Bear. I think Bear is another player, has a few similarities to Coots in the sense that he's an intense player, an extremely hard worker. Scored 40 goals in the dub this year, 82 points in total. Very highly skilled forward, great skills, good playmaker, very high competitive drive, just a super hard worker, good skater. Actually, might even go higher than this in the draft, to be honest. I do wonder if I might have ranked him a little bit too low. But Baird's going to be a player, if he were to be available here for the Habs. Him and Coots could just come in and add a whole other element to that forward group that the Habs are, I think, in my opinion, are lacking right now. They've got a lot of high-end skill with, Caulfield and Demidov and Laine and all these guys, but these guys give you the skill, the hardworking, and just make you hard to play against, which I think they're missing. Next up at 18th overall, we have the Calgary Flames, and I have them selecting Blake Fiddler, another Western Hockey Leaguer, big right shot defenseman from the Edmonton Oil Kings. Fiddler, to me, is another type of player that's, in my opinion, just a little bit more unique, a little bit harder to find. Like I said, a big right shot D that's more defensive minded, more physical. Those types of players are just not as common as they used to be. So, in my opinion, I think he would be a great fit on a Calgary team that's certainly added a lot of great young talent to their group. But to me, I don't know that they have a player quite like this. They have Zane Parekh, obviously coming up the ranks to be a high-end offensive right shot D. Fiddler playing behind him on the second or third pair down the road, to me, would be a great insulation. Like I said, you've got the size, the skill, a little bit of offense, but more known for the physicality and the defensive mindedness. Selecting 19th overall, we have the St. Louis Blues, and we have them selecting Cameron Reid. Now, Reid is an interesting player, left shot defenseman from the Kitchener Rangers of the OHL. Decent size, 6 feet tall, 174. Had 54 points in 67 games this past year, so there is a little bit of an offensive upside to his game, but known to being a great skater, good with his stick work, good defensively, has the potential to be a shutdown D. So to me, I think he projects his ceiling's probably a second pair defenseman who can play the shutdown role, and when the opportunity creates itself, to give you a little bit of offense too. But certainly a lot better on the defensive side. Just real smart defenseman, good situationally, and I think could be a good pickup here for St. Louis. Next up, selecting 20th overall, we have the Columbus Blue Jackets, and I have them taking defenseman Logan Hensler from the University of Wisconsin. Hensler, right-handed defenseman, excellent skater, strong defensive game, very mobile. He's certainly good at a little bit of offensive instincts, but making a good first pass to get out of the zone. To me, he does look like he's a pretty safe bet, like some of these other players that we've talked about earlier, like a Jackson Smith. Just a good, smart player who I think will definitely be a high likelihood of playing NHL games and working out. He may not be a star player, but I think he has second pair defenseman, good two-way guy kind of written all over him here. Next up at 21 overall, we have the Ottawa Senators, and I have them selecting Justin Carbonneau. Now, the Sens may trade this pick or they may move back. And you know what? Carbonneau, I might have him ranked a little bit too low here. To be honest, he's probably going to go a little bit before this, but with some of the other stuff at the top of the draft kind of, I think might have things to set off some other players to slide. If he is here, Ottawa, I think, would be foolish not to take him. Carbonneau had a terrific season last year, putting up in the Quebec League for Blainville Boisbriand, 89 points in 62 games, including 46 goals. He's a very quick, highly skilled pivot. Certainly has a great shot as well. A lot of scouts are very high in this guy. Some even have him going around 12, 13. I have him at 21. So that's why I think there's a pretty good chance he's going to be higher on this list. But if any of these teams down here do have a chance to grab him, they'll be fortunate and definitely won't be passing him up anymore. Next up at 22nd overall, we have the Philadelphia Flyers, and I have them selecting Jack Nesbitt from the OHL Windsor Spitfires program. Now, the Nesbitt here to me is a really solid, sturdy player. 25 goals, 64 points last year in 65 OHL games. Nesbitt, I think, is a player that's probably going to go in this range here. He's got some good dynamic skill, pretty sturdy, balanced attacker. Maybe not the flashiest player, but just an overall pretty solid middle six forward is his projection, in my opinion here. Next up here, we have a 23rd overall, the Nashville Predators, and I have them selecting Sasha Boumedienne from Boston University. They took a forward with their first selection in this mock draft. Now I have them taking a left shot defenseman last year at BU. He had a pretty solid campaign. He's not going to wow you with a lot of big offensive numbers, though. Obviously, he put up 13 points in 40 games last year. 6'2", 183. Pretty solid, like overall, like a two-way defenseman for the most part. The offensive part of his game, he's a good passer, good at zone entries, but not somebody who typically racks up a lot of points, good vision, and kind of projects to be a pretty decent two-way defenseman here at the NHL. Next up at 24 overall, we have the Los Angeles Kings, and I have them selecting Bill Zonin. Now, this is another pick that we could see moved. Ken Holland did make it known if he could find a player that he likes that can help them immediately. He's certainly open to moving that pick. But Zonin is a highly competitive, versatile forward, good playmaker, not afraid to play physical, which is a good attribute I think the Kings would really like here. Really smart player with good hockey sense, wins a lot of board battles, and end up creates a lot of chances for his teammates because of it, allowing him to be a pretty solid playmaking forward here. So I like Zonin. I think his compete level works well and could be a good fit in LA. Up next, selecting 25th overall, we have the Chicago Blackhawks, and I have them selecting from the Erie Otters, Malcolm Spence. Now, Spence, by many accounts, projects to likely be a top six forward. Could be a great fit with a lot of teams, and I wouldn't be shocked, to be honest, if he's another player that I might have ranked a little bit too low here. I wouldn't be surprised to see Spence go even a few spots higher to either maybe Ottawa at 21 or even St. Louis or Calgary ahead of them. But he's really one of those players that's kind of good in all situations, very versatile. He's got good size, good speed, good offensive skills, reliable defensively. Just to me, looks like a real good middle six forward that can be very versatile, like I said, used in a variety of situations, which is very key to helping you get a spot in an NHL lineup. Next up, we have the Nashville Predators once again, this time at 26. I have them selecting the first goalie of the draft, Josh Ravensbergen. They've got a forward, they took a defenseman, and now they get a potential goaltender of the future. Ravensbergen, by many, is expected to be the first goaltender off the board, and many expect him to go in the first round. If you look at some of the teams that have 2 or 3 first-round picks, I do think it's a pretty good, more likely scenario that they'll be one of the teams that selects them. For me, Nashville, it makes a lot of sense. They've got their goalie of the future right now locked up long-term with UC Saros. Obviously, they traded, the goalie who they thought was going to be the goalie of the future already to San Jose. And so that kind of leaves their future depth a little bit questionable. But Ravensbergen could come in and really fill that void and hopefully make the jump here in a few years when he's ready. Up next at 27th overall, we have the Washington Capitals, and I have them selecting Jack Mrtka from Boston University. Obviously plays for Team USA as well. To me, he's got a very mature game. Should translate well to the NHL. Had a really solid year last year, putting out 53 points in 56 games. Obviously, he is a player I think that's going to have great success at BU. His last year, of course, came playing with the United States national team development program. It's really fast player, not afraid to drive the net. Really good in all aspects of the game. He's played penalty kill. He's played power play. Just a well-rounded, mature forward who I think should be able to play meaningful games at the NHL. I think he's one of the safer bets to make it. Maybe not a super high-end player, but a good middle six guy. Next up, selecting 28th overall, we have the Winnipeg Jets, and I have them selecting right-handed defenseman Henry Brustewicz from the London Knights, the Memorial Cup champions, in fact. And this player had a chance to play a fairly big role. He's got good size. Like I said, a right-handed D. Could be, I think, a future top four defenseman here for the Winnipeg Jets. Has good skating ability, good size. Played big minutes in all situations for London as well. And considering that London blue line was pretty deep with guys like Sam Dickinson and Oliver Bonk playing ahead of him, he still played a lot of minutes and a lot of opportunities on special teams. Like, to me, this kid is in a great program. The Hunter brothers produce a lot of guys for the NHL through that London Knights program. I think the Jets, looking at the long-term future of their blue line, could use a player like this. Up next, selecting 29th overall, we have the Carolina Hurricanes. And you have them selecting Swedish for Milton Gastrin. To me, this just screams like a Carolina Hurricanes pick. I'm sure the analytics people, and they're very analytical there in Carolina, will love this guy. Good in all situations. Had a pretty good season playing in Sweden last year. To me, he's just a really good overall athlete, good two-way center, like strong on all aspects of the game. Like, there's really not a lot of flashiness, a lot of stuff that's going to stick out as super high end, pushing him up higher in the rankings here. But he just he just has a mature game. There's really no major flaws, and I can just see the Hurricanes absolutely loving this type of player. Next up, 30th overall, we have the San Jose Sharks, and I have them selecting William Horkoff. Obviously, William Horkoff, son of former NHLer Sean Horkoff, gone to the University of Michigan. Obviously, has played in the United States National Team Development Program. Horkoff, to me, projects them to likely go somewhere near the end of the first round, early second round. Put up 10 points in 18 games last year for Michigan. He has basically some, like, again, just a guy with good size. He's tough to play against. Solid defensively, physical, just a smart player overall. Maybe not going to give you a ton of offensive skill here, but to me, I think he projects. He might be a third line player, to be honest. But I think he's just another element to a lot of teams that it's going to give you a different type of look. The Sharks have a lot of higher end skill, and I think he'll be a good mix with the size, speed, smartness, and physicalness to kind of add into their group. Play a little bit lower in the forward lineup. Next up, with the 31st overall pick, we have the Philadelphia Flyers with their third selection here, and I have them selecting Danil Prokhorov out of Russia. I think Rick Tocchet would absolutely love this player to have on his team. Right winger, 6'6", 218 pounds, scored 20 goals in 43 games in the MHL last year, and this guy might be the most violent player in the draft. So he loves nothing more than to throw a big hit, and he's got some size and skill to boot. To me, when I started watching clips of this player, he just screams Philadelphia Flyer to me, and I think it'd be perfect, and the coach will love him. With our final pick in the first round, 32nd overall, we have the Calgary Flames, and I have them selecting Ben Kindle. Now, obviously, Ben Kindle, player playing in the Western Hockey League for Calgary, so obviously a player that they would likely have seen quite a bit. He's 5'10", 181, but he plays a bigger, more physical game than his size might indicate. A lot of offensive abilities here. He put up 99 points in 65 games with 64 assists, so clearly has some playmaking skills here as well. Honestly, I think some people have him ranked higher, but there's obviously a few aspects of his game that are going to cause him to slip a little bit. So, but there's so much to like. It's hard to see him slipping out of the first round. He has a really smart, like really high end hockey sense. Certainly a player who I think some thought might rise higher in this draft, but most of the scouting services have him going near the end. I think he'd be a good prospect here for Calgary. And like I said, somebody who's been playing in their backyard this whole time, who they're likely very familiar with and can appreciate his game. So that is our final mock draft, picks 1 through 32. Let me know your thoughts on all the picks. And if you think the things are going to go a little bit differently and you have some different predictions, leave those down below in the comments. We'll discuss further. As I mentioned, on the actual first round of the draft on Friday evening, as soon as the draft concludes, there will be a video coming recapping everything that did happen. And so instead of a mock draft, it'll be a draft recap looking at everything that actually went down on the first round of the 25 NHL draft. So stay tuned for that as well. Thanks very much for watching. Subscribe if you're new to stick around, and I'll catch you next time.